So in this video, we're going to be creating our own decals, setting up the materials and applying them to mesh. And we're going to go through this step by step by step by step. Like and subscribe. If you want to download this, probably on Patreon, so go check that out. First of all, select everything and just delete. Shift A, mesh, and we're going to add in a plane. The other thing as well that I didn't mention, we're not going to be using any add-ons. I've pretty much got a fresh build of Blender. So first things, we kind of want to make some panel lines. And so I'm actually going to divide this up into a few sections. So Alt-R to put in an edge loop. And then I'm going to bring it up to the top here and hold Control. And so now this is the area that we're just going to focus on. I'm going to select that and press P to separate by selection. And we're just going to be focusing on this one. One thing to take note is that when we're going to be editing, anything above Z0 is going to be removed. So that'll come more into play a little bit later, but just think about that. So very first thing, I'm just going to make a very simple line like so. So Control R, B to bevel. Let's now go E to extrude down, and I'm going to just scale on the Y-axis. Let's get rid of these edges on the side here. Now, because we're going to be baking down vertically, yep, that's the word. If we were to bake down, the ambient occlusion here on the edges will kind of like not be repeatable. So what we're actually going to do is I'm just going to scale this out on the X-axis a little bit. And so now when we're baking to our plane, which will be kind of like this one here, you can see that there is a bit of an offcut, which is exactly what we want. What I'm going to do here now is I just want to round the edges a little bit like so. And then let's select that, Control B to do a bevel. Middle mouse, increase that, just something like that. Now that's really important, is we need to have a bit of a bevel, and that's going to be for the normal map. Because if we add straight down, the normal map's not going to see any change in angle of the mesh. Like there'll be a difference in depth, but the normal map doesn't pick that up. And we're going to be focusing on the normal map primarily, and also the alpha map. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. I'm going to add in another edge loop, hold Control. Now we don't have that same size there, so we're going to change that. I'm going to press Item up here. If you don't have that panel there, we can press N. On the Y-axis, I'm going to make that 0.6, and now we've got it on our grid. V to rip, select that, P, separate by selected. Same thing, edge loop, Control B. However, this time, I'm going to do another bevel. I'm going to select these two and do another bevel. Now I can pull this out. Let's now go ahead and grab all that. E to extrude, scale on the Y-axis. Once again, delete the side pieces, delete faces. And let's have a look. That doesn't look the best. So we'll fix it. We can move either or. So we have that. And then I'm going to grab actually these and pull them back. There we go. Now we can select all this. Control B to do a bevel. Nice. And then I'm actually going to bevel these areas as well. Perfect. Once again, like we discussed earlier, let's select either side, scale along the X-axis, just so we've got that overflow. Perfect. The next one I'm going to do, we'll bring it up to there, and go 0.4, V to rip, select that, P separate by selection. Now with this one, I'm actually going to bring this all the way back to about there. And I kind of want a groove, but then pieces coming over the top. So let's go with that. I'm going to do a deep groove like that. E to extrude, scale on the Y-axis. Let's delete these two faces, delete faces. Let's duplicate this one, scale X, scale Y. And then I kind of want it, put an edge loop through there, bring it up, and then Control B, add a few loops. Don't really care about the geometry so much in this one, because it's all about baking it down anyway afterwards. Pull that down like so. Let's just scale that out a smidgen, and we'll bring this one down. Scale it a bit more. Let's select those edges. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Control B to do a bevel. That to me is looking good. I'm going to right click and shade auto smooth, and that's just going to give us smoothness. However, we need to repeat it. I'm actually going to move it over into this section. Holding Control, it'll snap into that position. Let's go into modifiers, add modifier, generate array, and we're just going to increase that number, and you can kind of see there what we've done. This is now going to be a repeating piece. Perfect. I've just realized that the transparency is going to stuff us up a little bit. Ow, ploppers. Because like I mentioned earlier, this bit here is going to be above the Z. So it's actually going to turn out really bad, which is not what we want. So maybe what we'll do, let's go Control L, delete faces. I'm actually going to select these two pieces. We'll press I to do an inset, scale along the X. I'm going to E to extrude, but I'm going to scale Y0. And we'll delete that face on the inside. Let's just go ahead and grab these, scale X, and then I might just go Control B to do it before. Beautiful. Perfect. That works really good. Just going to select everything. A, just want this one. A, M, and we're going to merge all the vertices at distance. And that's just going to close off a few of those vertices. So it's just a little bit cleaner. I like these pieces that we have now. So let's go ahead and maybe just create some other random pieces. I'm just going to kind of pre-chop up the mesh as is. We'll make that 0, and then we'll put another edge loop in there. Let's select that, P, separate by selection. Kind of want to make like dimples. I think would be pretty cool. So with that, let's go Shift A. I'm going to add in a cylinder, scale that puppy down. Let's bring it over here. And I'm going to grab this bottom section, Control B to do a bevel. So we've got something like that. But I'm also going to increase the size of that. And that's what I mentioned before, that if it was straight down, we're not really going to see it too well. But I mean, we could, we'll do that. No, let's do it now. I'm going to put an edge loop through here. Let's go E to extrude, scale, Shift Z. I'm just going to move this edge up a bit. And I kind of want to do a small bevel. You have to remember that this is now a cutter. And so now when I go Control B to do a bevel, we're going to have that. If we've got the Bull tool enabled, which is a free add-on, Preferences, we go into Get Extensions and we type in Bull. There's the Bull tool. Okay, just get that installed. I can select my cutter. I can select this thing. Control numpad minus. What the? Weird. Let's enable that. Shift left click, Control numpad minus. You can see now we've created a hole. That's not a hole. That's not what I wanted. What we might have to do is just select that, E to extrude, and we'll bring that down. And now that'll give us that. Yep, let's go with that. Shade smooth. Select this one, and we'll go shade smooth. Lovely. Let's now go ahead and we'll give that an array modifier. Array modifier. Smooth that across to about there. We can go add modifier, generate. And this time we will go on the y-axis, maybe the minus the y. I hate you so much. Let's just delete it. We'll just do it manually. There we go. Shift DY. Obviously, nothing's going to happen there because the Boolean isn't on that one. So we're going to select out this cutter, select this cutter, Control numpad minus. Perfect. I want to maximize that space on that one. G to the Y, and then Shift D. Let's do another bool cut. See if we can line it in, line it up roughly in the middle. Great. And we'll make that 3. That's a nice little cut there. That looks great. Let's jump over into here. You have to remember all these pieces here, we're thinking of internal. The scale is very small. We're not looking at giant starship decals here. We're looking interior cockpit decals. Make another big one. Whoops. P, separate by selection. And what I'm going to do is select all, I to do an inset, Control B to do a bevel. And we will go, maybe something like that. I'm going to grab these edges in the middle. So just press number 2 to go into edge select, Control B to do a bevel. Middle mouse, give it some roundness. From here, I'm going to put an edge loop through there and then just go GZ. Let's select these 2 edges, Control B to do a bevel. Just a very small bevel. Right click, shade smooth. And GG. I don't think that's going to fix it. Which is actually fine. It doesn't really matter because we are actually going to delete this section. Yes. So when we come into here, what we're going to do is I'm going to select all that and delete faces. And so we're only going to be looking at the panel there. Perfect. And then we can go ahead and maybe just create some little cuts and such. So if I go something like that, something like this, and we do E to extrude, let's go delete that face. I'm going to select here and here, oops, here and here, scale on the y-axis and scale on the x-axis. And these are just going to be kind of like little decorations. And we will leave that as a hard cut in there. Control B to do a bevel. Perfect. Scale X. Oh, let's give that a bit of a cut. V. Control LP, separate by selection. Let's make this straight. Scale X 0. Let's go GX. V to rip. Control LP, separate by selection. Just going to delete that now. Delete faces. Control Shift B. We'll just bevel that one as well. Nice. What was I going to do here? That's right. Oh man, losing the plot. Let's do a bunch of edge loops. Grab these. I to do an inset and press I again. So we've got like these individual pieces. I'm actually going to grab this everything, move it down a bit, and we're just going to be focusing on these pieces. I want E to go up. I'm going to press Control Numpad Plus to increase my selection. Control I to invert my selection, delete faces. Now, what's going to be the quickest way? If I select that, then we go into Edge Select. I'm going to press B, middle mouse to deselect. Let's press C to deselect all these, because all I'm after is the edges. Nope, that's fine. So if I do now Control B, add a few edge loops, and then we can select these top faces. Good try, Marco. Control B to do a bevel. Perfect. Nice. And so those can be maybe some grips or something that we can put on the ground. I like it. One thing that we don't have any of are some nice bolts. So what's going to be the best way for this one? You have to remember there's not going to be any parallax. And this is a cheap version of Decal Machine. But Decal Machine will poo all over this every single day. So I'm just going to clean these up, this mesh up, delete edge loops only. Let's cut this up into, select this one, P, separate by selection. What else could we do here? Let's go, I'm going to split this one actually in half. P, separate by selection. We'll just work on this one. Shift S, oops, Shift S, cursor selected. I'm going to go cylinder, bring that in. Let's go, oops, something like that. Control B to do a bevel. Okay. Let's select this piece, E to extrude, bring that down. This is all one piece, you clown. We'll just separate that. Select our cutter, select our object, Control Numpad minus. Lovely. Let's move that up ever so slightly. And also right click slash smooth. Shmoozhy woozhy. Tab, I can see, I'm not a fan of that. I might just give it a little bit more. Control L, GZ, bring it up. Perfect. Nice, that is great. Now I want to add a hex bolt. So I've added in a cylinder. I'm going to go 6 vertices. Perfect. And then we'll make sure we bring that down just so it's below. GZ, I don't care if that goes in there. From here, let's select that face. Well, actually, we can select everything, really. Control B to do a bevel. Nice. And that's a very nice bolt. There's going to be a lot of detail on that. It's probably a little bit too big, but we'll deal with it. Look, I was playing Star Citizen earlier. Now I just can't remember all this stuff. We will I want to grab this piece, and from here, well, let's make maybe a vent. So same as we did up here. I'm going to do I to do an inset, Control B to do a bevel. Nah, too early. Maybe we just select these vertices, Control Shift B to bevel vertice. Nice, then we select that. Let's do I to do an inset, like so. With this, I'm actually going to move this down, and maybe we'll select that and that. Invert our selection with Control I, delete faces. So what we have here is this outside piece. We've got P, not just yet. Let's maybe select that one. E to extrude. Scale this, scale Y. Nice. This will give us a small little bevel. Let's go ahead now. We've already extruded that. Bring that in. Scale that on the Y-axis. And then we're going to grab this. Control B. Beautiful. Right click, shade smooth. Not bad. So really this plate here when we look at it is there's going to be a lip, so it's kind of on top of it. However, we're looking at doing an air vent. GZ, Shift S, Control to selected. What a marker, great language. I know. We're going to put a plane in here. Let's put a bunch of edge loops in this one. B to rip, we'll grab this area here, and G to the X, select all with Control L, select everything that's linked. Lovely, Control L. We'll do a very small B to bevel, and then we'll bring that back down. And so now we've got a piece that's kind of like air ventish. Awesome. I'm not liking this piece in the slightest. I'm actually just going to clear it out, delete faces, and then we'll just make it bigger. Now that looks like a plate that's sitting on there. Perfect. Let's maybe just scale that in a smidgen. Kind of shooting blanks at the moment. Let's just go into baking mode. Actually, first, let's clean up this mesh. Now, we've got two options. We can just move everything up. Well, actually, we need to move some of this stuff down. So we want to keep this plate. If I go GZ, I'm just going to bring that down a smidgen. This one here, bring that one down a smidgen. That there looks great. That looks great. I think that should be fine there. Shift S, Curse World Origin. Shift A, we're going to go into a plane. This is what we're going to be baking to. I want to push this just down a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Love it. So from here, baking textures is fairly straightforward. We need to create a material to kind of like cover everything. So let's go new material. And this one here is going to be our baked. We've got shading, of course. That makes our life a little bit easier. This has already been UV unwrapped completely. It's a brand new mesh. It's UV unwrapped properly. So if I go into UV editing, we can see it takes up the whole square. Perfect. Back in shading, I need to add in an image that we're going to be baking. So let's go new. And this is going to be just baked. And I'm going to go 2048, 2048. So we'll make it a 2K texture. Beautiful. Let's now go ahead and select everything else. Control I. Nope. Baked. Control I. I just want to select that one. Let's go new material and Shift A image search. And we can select that as baked as well. I'm not too concerned about the color because the color is what we're going to be changing later on anyway. Technically, if you want to apply materials to all this stuff, go right ahead. Actually, that's a good point, Marco. No worries. If I just hide that one, this piece here needs to be a metal piece. So let's go into layout. I am going to use true assets, but that's because I've got it. If you want, you just jump over to ambient CG and all these materials are here. I'm just using an add-on that kind of brings it up into Blender. And so I'm kind of looking up for a beat up material. That one there looks good. So let me just make it, I'm going to make that 2K, plop that one on there. And we'll do the same here, metal. So now when we come back into shading, you can see that we do have that metal texture. We'll leave that, that looks fine to me. What I might do though, is knowing these ambient CG materials, I'm going to delete the bump and all that. The normal we'll put back in, but I'm just going to change to 0.1. I don't need it so strong. Let's now go ahead and find our material that has everything. There it is. Select all except for you and you. Do that one. Over into materials, copy material to selected. Bam. Now they've all got the same material. Perfect. We do need to add in that image texture as well. Baked on new. Perfect. So now when we do Alt H, bring this puppy back in. Let's come over into the baking tab, or the render tab, sorry. Jump over into cycles, GPU please. Let's go 128, down into bake. We could go ambient occlusion. You can grab that one. Selected to active, image to textures, blah, blah, blah. Let's go and have a squiz and hopefully everything just works fine and we're not going to be crying in pain. Because for those of you who have done this before, know that you suck. Because I forgot to select everything else. Now we go bake. Give it a sec. Yes, that is a sock. And we have this. You little ripper. That is terrible. All right, let's fix that up. I've got a feeling it's baking that because of the blackness. So what I'm going to do is actually select this box here. Select that and that. Let's go delete. Oh, actually. No. Going to select the object. I can press space, convert to mesh. Yep. And then from here, I can select that piece and that piece, delete faces. Nope. That and that, delete faces. And select this, thus, and thus. Delete faces. Go away, go away, go away. And we'll do the same thing over here. This is the main piece here. Control A to apply apply the modifiers. Delete these pieces here. Let's select them there, delete vertices. And we'll make sure we delete that. How's that looking now? Looking good. Let's see if we're gonna have any problems now. Let's try another bake. So I'm really trying to go through all the problems and then trying to rectify all those problems. I've got a feeling that the reason why all these are black is because their normals are wrong. So if we come into here, I'm just gonna go height. Nope, that's J. Let's press J again, H to hide. This here was all gonna be red, I think. So if we go into face orientation, select all, Shift N to flip those normals, Alt H. Now we select everything. We go into bake, and hopefully we're all good. Oops. Uh-oh. I had the wrong thing selected just then, so we're going to have a really weird... Yeah. Let's click on the actual bake plane, and now we bake. Lovely. That is looking great. Make sure every time we bake, we save as, toot bake, and this one is going to be decal _01_AO, save image. Now, if we do a normal bake, that is looking fan-stinkin-tastic. And for those of you who might be a little bit observant, you'll see that there's kind of like, it extends. I don't think we can change that in Blender. I think if I do margin and bake, it did do it. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm actually going to set a margin of 1, and we'll go bake. And that margin is how much it kind of like extends outside the mesh. Beautiful image, save image as. I've got a feeling I'm going to need to do that more, but I'm going to go normal. And then from here as well, the last thing I'm going to do is transmission. Margin 1, yeah, okay, bake. And now this is our transmission. Perfect. Image, save as. This one here is going to be called Alpha Box. Beautiful, save. We've got our 3 most important maps. Let's go with that. Let's go File, New. Here is one of my pieces from my giant kitbashing set. There's a link in the description if you want it. If we go into rendered mode, so if we kind of come into here, this is what this looks like. Okay, so it is textured. This is now going to show a problem that you have kind of like in Decal Machine as well, but I really wanted to highlight it. That's why I brought this specific material in. Decal Machine really works well, and even decals in general works really well if it's a solid color behind it, and we'll explain that in a sec. Now, to start off, let's go new plane. This is going to be our decal material, so over in shading, new. I'm just going to call this our decal. Let's go Control Shift T, because I have Node Wrangler installed. Edit preferences Node Wrangler once again. Let's go into wherever I just saved those files, Toots Bank. I'm going to grab these files, principal thing. And the reason why it's blank is because the color has gone in. We need the alpha to go in. There we go. Look at that. Hello. Where you going? And then if we put that in the base color, you'll see that we've got a bit more ambient occlusion. But you can just see what it actually looks like. And we can see how we've baked it. It actually does look like pieces that do belong. Do look like how we baked. Marco, good language. Shut up, it's tired. What? No, I'm tired. It's late. So what are we going to do real quick is I'm just going to cut this all up very quickly. So just give me a moment. And all I'm doing is just adding in edge loops, ripping in between everything. And as well, if you put an edge loop somewhere and you put it down, we're not going to press GX to move it because that's going to stuff you up. We're going to press GG to move it. Do that. Oh, that worked out well. And then one here, V to rip, V to rip, V to rip. Do one there, V to rip. I can do this. I hate you. V to perfect. Select all, P, separate by loose parts. So now they're all in their own individual parts. just fix that up. Delete faces. Delete that one as well. Let's go ahead, select everything, right click, set origin to geometry. Now what I'm going to do is actually select everything, press A. I'm going to go GZ.001, and now it's moved it ever so slightly off the origin, and we'll talk about that one in a sec. So now we've got this done. From here, I can come up the top, and where it says this thing, transform period, nope. Where it goes snapping tool, we're going to change to face. We want to move, rotate, face project, and then align rotation to target. Now if I go G and hold Control, it's going to snap into that position there. And it's kind of like going off wherever my mouse is. If we scale that down, you can kind of see, hey, that now is a decal that we've applied. Now it's obviously on a flat surface. If we were to GYY or GGXX, you can see it's not sitting down properly. I can go into modifiers, add modifier, generate, deform, shrink wrap, and then we'll do this one. Not nearest to surface, we're going to go nearest surface point. We're going to change that to project negative, and then we can come in and like subdivide that puppy. Generate, subdivide. Only by simple, Let's just try that again. Add modifier, subdivision surface, simple, increase, increase. Add modifier, that's what I stuffed up on. Deform, shrink wrap, click on this piece. Give it a little bit of an offset. Make sure we go project, negative and positive. There we go. So now we've put on that. Now, the material is what we're talking about. This is where that bit sucks, and this is the same problem with decal machine. The best we can do is kind of like just guesstimate the color. That actually, well, that's actually not too bad. We can do the same kind of like with these pieces. Shift D, hold Tutorial. Oh my goodness, that looks great. And then let's say we wanted, and then yeah, okay, let's just do this real quick. Shift D, hold Control. I think technically we could even put them on top of each other as well. So if you really want to lay your decals, perfect. Do that there, hold Control, rotate, whoops. So we can layer decals. Probably asking about this one here. If I go G and we snap it in there, okay? This one here is actually a little bit more trickier. Is it? Not really. It is a little bit. The way I would do panel lines is, let's just go into layout. The way I would actually do panel lines is, I'm just going to go G, Y, move that one. I'm going to select this. I'm going to select this edge, Shift D, P, separate by selection. So now it's my own individual little piece. I'm going to go scale like that. Alt S ever so slightly, minus 0.002. I don't know, seems like a good number. So it's sitting just above. I'm going to change the material to the decal material. Let's just select a random edge, V to rip, Control L, U, and then we're going to UV unwrap that puppy. Over into UV editing, we are going to now come up into here. I'm just going to scale that like so. And let's have a look-a-rooney what it looks like. I hate you. It's probably because I scaled it the wrong way. Let's go this way. Please work. There we go. And so now we've added a decal into the middle there. So we really have gone from start to finish on creating a decal. Like and subscribe. It's a long tutorial. Did you enjoy it? Did it give you a lot of information? Hopefully. It's time for Rocket League. No, wait, edit, then Rocket League.